Right, okay. I'm going to go to here. Okay, so today I'm going to cook aubergine, tomato and spinach curry. So it's really super simple and really easy. What I'm going to do is I will put the recipe up in community with this video, which is being recorded, so that you'll have it. But the idea is ever with any sort of recipes that I tend to put up or cookery demos that I do is that they're easy, because I think that a lot of people get put off cooking because they think the ingredients will be difficult to get, and actually depending on where you live in the country, very often a lot of those lovely exciting ingredients in cookery books are difficult to get, or that it's going to take hours. And if, like me, you don't really love cooking that much, you don't want to spend hours in the kitchen every day, or maybe you just don't have time to spend hours in the kitchen every day. So anyway, this is how you make this curry. So I'm going to get going. So start with 4 aubergines. In fact, I have just used 2 good-sized aubergines for this, and I just sliced them into round discs, and currently they are in the oven, cooking separately. So I sliced them, I put them in a roasting dish, and I'm cooking them in duck fat, but you could cook them in whatever type of sort of fat that's okay for cooking in that you wanted. You could use ghee, you could use coconut oil, you could use olive oil. I guess I quite like olive oil cooked in aubergines like that. It's nice, but it's up to you. But I went with duck fat because I think that also gives it a little bit of extra taste. Why is it that whenever I do one of these, the dog comes down and has a really noisy drink of water every time? Okay, so the aubergines cooking. So the next thing to do is to start getting those yummy, beautiful sort of aromatic flavors into the cooking, which is what makes, I think, Indian food so gorgeous. So I have, let's start showing the ingredients. Okay, so I've got ginger. Okay, this much ginger. Again, it's really just as much ginger as you like. So we're gonna make this into a smooth puree. So it's going in here. I'm going to use my hand mixer. I hope this is going to work. And 6 cloves of garlic. So again, I always say this is recipes. You can change them so it suits you. So if you're someone who doesn't love garlic particularly, then you don't have to have as much garlic. So 1, 2, 3, 4 tablespoons of just cold water in there while you puree it. So I'm going to use my hand blender, and it's going to be very noisy for a minute. Hopefully it's not going to go everywhere. Hopefully, I can't see that. There we go. But you can see that going to a puree. It's worked really well. Right, Lynn, let me reply to your question. So, right, the aubergines have been in for 35 minutes and they're nearly done. So I'm going to say 30 to 35 minutes. And I just put them on at 180 degrees, which is pretty much what I cook most things at. I don't like to cook things too hot. I don't think you need to really with anything. So let's just pop that in there. There you go. Right. So it's carrying with pureeing. Right, there you go. So you can do that absolutely fine with a hand blender, which, you know what, sometimes I think for sort of making smallish things, you don't want to use a big old blender because I find it really difficult to get it back out of the jug. I don't know about you guys. Anyway, so that's done and lovely. Let's check on the aubergines. Basically, you would cook the aubergines until they are sort of a lovely goldeny brown colour. Okay, so that's done. So I'm just going to pop over here, okay, to where my cooker is. This is my super pro cooking, like real life cooking when you're trying to film yourself. So I've got a bit, I'm going to use a big pan. I love this pan, but you know, any large saucepan or sort of saute pan. Again, I've got more duck fat in here. So turn that on and heat duck fat up. So the next thing we're going to put in here is a teaspoon of whole cumin seed. And I'm going to use a heaped teaspoon because I really love cumin. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous spice. So, and that goes into the fat, which is melting rapidly. And then the next thing that you're going to put in there is a teaspoon of fennel seeds. Okay, so here we go. And again, I'm being heavy-handed just because that's just how I cook. Everyone's different. Right, and so while we're waiting for those, so what we're going to do now is just let those toast in that hot oil, which will take a couple of minutes. And you want to keep an eye on those and make sure they don't burn because they'll catch really quickly. Okay, so when that's done, the next thing that's going to go in there is 2 tins of chopped tomatoes. So this is super easy, okay? 2 tins of chopped tomatoes, they're going already. See if you can see this. So there you go, they are starting to look toasty and lovely. Turn that heat down a little bit. You can see that. Okay. Yeah, so we've got a teaspoon of ground coriander seed, which I've pre-ground in my pestle and mortar, but you could buy it pre-ground as well. So that's going to go in there. The 2 tins of chopped tomatoes. This lovely ginger and garlic paste that we just made, homemade. Some salt. And then that will all go in there and cook together for about 5 minutes. So this is how easy it is. But you can smell when these seeds are nearly ready because, oh, you can smell them. They smell absolutely divine. So, and also they start to look kind of like this. Okay, so they're done. Yeah, so it's like cooking by your nose, as my other half says. He cooks with his nose. You just smell things. So in goes the tomatoes. And then the other big ingredient, right, in goes the coriander. Then we also have a very, very important ingredient, turmeric. So this is my latest turmeric powder that I'm using. I get it from all over the place. This one looked like a really nice one. And again, turmeric's super good for you. The active component of turmeric is called curcumin, and it has really very good sort of anti-inflammatory properties. I again tend to go quite heavy on the turmeric. I'm going to put all of it in there, but it's like they say about half a teaspoon. I don't think that's enough, but again, it's personal preference, you know. Depends if you like it or not. Turn the heat up with that. Hopefully you can see this. So it's all looking lovely. So just heat all of that up. Let it all kind of meld together. Turn the aubergines off. Right, so let's just pop this, the ginger and the garlic in there as well. Okay, and we can just move away from that for a minute. There we go. Stir that in. Okay, and then the next thing that's going to go in here when this is cooked is the spinach. Okay, so I'm just using a 450-gram bag of spinach. I've washed it, so it's pre-washed in its colander, ready to go in. I'm going to add a bit of salt to here. I tend to forget salt. It just makes all the difference. This is my really lovely sea salt. And I'm going to put in this much, so like a big, that's probably a good sized teaspoon. In fact, I'm going to put in another one. We, I think, are wrongly afraid of salt. Salt's a really, really important, component of health. So I think we've sort of, it's another one of those things like fat that's been kind of vilified for years. And actually, it's really important to have enough. So yeah, so that's all cooking away nicely. So let's have a look at the aubergines and see how they're looking. So I'm just going to pop this back over here. Here we go. Let's get ready to see those aubergines. Right, here they are. So this is another one of those recipes that is most definitely not low fat. Aubergines are one of those foods which really suck up so much fat when you're cooking them. So what you might find is you'll put some fat in your roasting dish to start off cooking them. They'll just soak it all up. And so you'll need to add more. So I have added twice more fats to cook these during this time because they just sucked everything up. But you can see how lovely they look, and they are they're really lovely and soft. I love aubergine when it's like this. Look, you can just see it's beautiful. And aubergines are really lovely vegetable to cook with because it's got kind of a meaty texture. I think that's why quite often it's used in vegetarian foods because it has a bit of that sort of meaty texture to it. Right, so these aubergines could be cooked for a little bit longer. It depends how you like them. So that one looks a bit anemic still. It could, it could go in for a bit longer. But again, it really doesn't matter. They're cooked well enough to eat. So after that, really, again, it's personal preference. Okay, so this orangey, it just looks so delicious now. Let's bring you over here again. Okay, so this is, right, love that pan. What make is it? This pan here, is that what you're asking? So, do you know what? I've got absolutely no idea. I don't know. I may even have bought it in TK Maxx. I don't know. Oh. But it is a great pan. I use it a lot because it's big. It's just perfect for cooking things like this, and also sometimes I do stir fries in here because my stir fries are never really, they're more like steam fries always. So can you see that? I wonder if you can see the colour of that now. And the turmeric's just made it this really beautiful, rich colour. It's absolutely gorgeous. Let's just, here we go, look. This looks lovely. Okay, so do we think that's had about 5 minutes? I think it probably has. Okay, so how would you eat this? Right, well, you could. I mean, there's no reason at all because this has got a good amount of fat in this dish. There's no reason you couldn't just eat it on its own. This is one of those dishes that I would make and then eat for a couple of days. Store any spares in the fridge and just pull it out. I would say that you could eat this with I would warm this up again and have a fried egg or a couple of fried eggs on top. It'd be really lovely with that. It goes beautifully with lamb, really, really well with lamb. You could put some halloumi cheese in it, all sorts of things. Or you could cook some halloumi separately in another frying pan, just, pop it in a little frying pan and just fry the slices of halloumi. Or if you can get hold of paneer cheese would be really, really nice too to add to this. So it's really flexible. There's lots of things that you can do with it. Or you could just use it as a side. Like we said, it goes really well with lamb. You could serve it with a roast lamb. You could serve it with lamb chops. Yeah, lots of nice ways to eat it. So it's a really flexible dish. Okay, so I think that's cooked enough. So what you do is you add the spinach to this mixture and you just let the spinach wilt down in there. Okay, so I'm going to add all of the spinach. This is a big 450-gram bag of spinach. But remember, spinach will wilt down to, gosh, less than a half of the sort of quantity that it looks like there is now. It kind of disappears when you cook it, spinach, doesn't it? So let's pop that in there. And then what I tend to do when I'm cooking the spinach is just get a couple of sort of spatulas or wooden spoons and just sort of turn it around in the warm mixture, because remember, you really are just sort of wilting it. There we go. And watch it all sort of, it's kind of wilting down in there already. So that's lovely. And then when that has wilted down in there, what we're going to do is add the aubergine slices, and hey presto, we will have the most delicious meal. It really hasn't taken very long to cook. Which I don't know about you guys, but I like that. Lynn, do you love to cook? Are you a big cook? Or do you kind of like to cook, but not things that take all day? I think there's a real variety of people in this group. I know some of you really love cooking, and some of you don't. So can you see that? Can you see how it's all already? Already the spinach is, sort of half the size it was when it went in. It's not great lighting in here. There we go. It's looking like now. Let's give that a little bit longer. And the other thing about this dish is you can, say you were going to make it, say you were having some people over for dinner, you could pre-cook the aubergines and you could pre-cook the tomatoes, and then you could just heat the ready-made tomato-y based sauce up, add the spinach, which as you can see takes about 3 minutes to wilt down, and add the aubergine slice at the last minute, and there you are. You've got your, a really delicious tasting dinner ready in, 5 minutes? So now we're going to add and turn that off. And I'm going to start adding the aubergine. There we go. All of those in there. Oh, it just looks delicious. I love how aubergine go when they're cooked. It's beautiful. Give that a stir around again. Okay. Okay, and then this is going to be my lunch. I'm actually going to have some of this now. So I'm going to pop some on a bowl and show you how pretty it looks when it's done. So let's just do that over here. Reorganize myself. Here we are. There we go. So, all here. There we are. And then let's just dish this out into here. So, you know, for example, I'm going to have this for lunch now. So I very well probably will actually just fry an egg. I'm going to fry an egg and pop it on the top of there. And there you are. That's spinach, aubergine and tomato curry. Yes, batch cooking is a brilliant thing to do. So do you know what? You could batch cook this tomato sauce actually and freeze it. And then the same thing, you know, if you feel like, and you could do all sorts of stuff with this. So that tomato sauce is so, so delicious and so simple. And you know that, thanks, Lynn. You know that everything's homemade. You know there's no dodgy sauces in there that you've had to check the ingredients in to see what horrible stuff it's got in or how much sugar the sauce has got in. It was just pureed garlic and fresh ginger together with some water. Look how easy it was. And it completely changes the dish. And the same when you toast the cumin and the fennel seeds, you get all these amazing flavours that are so easy to add to a dish. It's just we've been taught. I think we've been a bit brainwashed by the food industry. I go on and on about this. But I think we have that, you know, any sort of spice or flavour or anything has to come in a packet or a jar. It doesn't. You just buy the spices and use them like that. Anyway, thank you for coming, Lynn. It was super lovely to see you. I'm going to be doing these, well, I'll see. Well, I'm going to try and do one every day this week. Riley is a bit better now. Thank you all for asking about him. So that was a bit of a worry. I thought maybe we're going to have him put down. But fingers crossed, he looks like he's really on the mend. So that's good. See you all soon, guys. Bye.